Okay.
It's like the old story, the lawyer and the
Yesterday, we learned about when you gift something to your wife, you don't really mean it. That's what we learned yesterday. When you give your wife a gift, you don't really mean it.
When you give your wife a gift, you don't really mean it.
That's right. That's what we learned. Right? If someone wrote that he's giving his nechasim to his wife, he just means to make her an apotropos so that the children, so that the no, he writes in the Shtar Matana. I'm giving you. Oh, so he wants to give her respect, and there's a whole list of 5 different women that he would, if he would give to his woman, if he would give this to them, two of them, everybody agrees it would only be to make her an apotropos. 2 of them, everybody agrees that it's a real matana because there would be no reason for him to put her in a position where she would be respected. And Bas Eitzelachin was the only suffix if he meant to give it to her as a gift, or if he just wants to get her respect amongst his brothers. So Boy Rava B'Borihech. All of these discussions that we have, we assume, applies to a matna shchivmara. He's about to die. After he dies, he doesn't know if they're going to respect this person, so he wants to put this person into a position of power because they're going to be controlling the estate. So he doesn't really mean to gift it to them. He means to give them power of attorney. But what would be what would be by a bari? B'Borihech b'shchivmara hu denichalei the l'shtamon mila. If he's a shchivmara and he's about to die, he wants that after he passes, she will have some respect. Aval b'bari, if he's strong and young and has no intention of dying soon, he's there. He will make sure that she's properly respected. Oidilma bari nami nichalei l'shtamon mila mehashla. If you know that in 20 years your estate is going to be controlled by this and this person, you're going to be nice to that person even now. So therefore, by letting everybody know that this woman is going to be in charge of the estate, it will automatically make them start to respect her now. Tashma, they might not like her, but they'll have to respect her. Right? Tashma, hakosev peiros nechasav leishtoi. So if someone wrote the peiros of his nechasim to his wife, what does that mean? So the Rashbam tells us it could be one of 2 things. First of all, the peiros were be'en, so he's not being makna dover shaloi b'lo'olam. His field is full of fruit, and they were not yet harvested. Or inami the aki la karka la peirisel. He was makna the karka for peiros. He was makna the guf hakaka for its peiros. The aki la begufa the ira the kanya. So he's actually giving her a piece of property, or he's giving her peiros that are currently attached to the ground. So according to the peiros nechasav leishtoi, goivek subasa min hakarka. It doesn't mean that she's given up her right to the ksuba. We don't say that the gift that he gave her, she's accepting as her ksuba. Rather, she could still collect her ksuba from the rest of the property, which she does not have. Zokter Rashbam, koivek subasa min hakarka, the b'shvil matanazu loy mochla shibud subasa shalakarka. We don't say that just because she got a gift, she'll be moichel the shibud that's on this piece of property that she was gifted from. In cause of law, karka upeiros lagamri. What if he told her that I'm giving you completely 1/3 of this field, 1/2 of this field, or some part of this field, machzisan or shlish aravia, then goivek subasa min hashar. The same thing. Since she got part of the land, but there's still land left, maybe she's moichel the ksuba on the property that she has because it's hers now, but that doesn't mean she's giving up her right to collect from the rest of the property should the need to collect her ksuba ever arise. So a simple halacha. That's a lesser chiddush because you're not actually giving her the karka, you're just giving her either the peiros of the karka or the schos that the peiros that will grow in the future she will receive. But lamach l'shish ravia, where he's literally giving her the karka completely, but not all of the property, still we say that she was not moichel the shibud ksuba on the rest of the property that he retained, and therefore goiva ksuba saminasha, if she had to collect from it. Cause of kol nechasav leishtoi, what if he wrote all of his assets to his wife, and that's how it's irrelevant to our sugya, because in our sugya we said if he writes all of his assets to his wife, he's not really giving it to her, he's just making her an apotropos. So cause of kol nechasav leishtoi, and then the yotza olav shtar chayiv, and then there was a shtar chayiv that was written on this property before it preceded his gift to her. However, it was after his ksuba to her. So Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Tikra Matanosa, the Tamar al Ksubas. The Matana, we make believe as if it wasn't here, because the Balchoiv surely has a right to take the Matana away, because the Kaka was Meshubah to him before it was given to her. But it was Meshubah to her Ksuba even before that. So you make believe like the Matana is not here, and she still has the shibud from her original ksuba for that piece of property. But for Chachamim, tikra ksubasa v'tamud al matnasa. Once she accepted this piece of property as a gift, we say that she gave up her shibud. If he's giving it to her completely, at this point she would have given up her shibud of ksuba in it, and therefore she lost the shibud of ksuba because she gave it up when she received the gift. The matana came to her only after the property was already meshubit to a bachoi, so she loses the property. And nimtas karachas mikan mikan. It was meshubit because I owed somebody money. I owe somebody $100,000. Then I give my property away as a gift, and then he comes to collect it. Of course, the whole concept of being of taking a property away from the kuchos is only because I sold it after I borrowed the money. So no one's going to say that if you borrow money, you can no longer sell. Of course you could sell, but there will be a lien on the property that you're going to sell. Right? The hope is that you're going to pay back with cash, and they won't have to collect from that lien. Okay, so let's have a look at the Rosh property. Because look at that chashta, afilu b'makim bana. It doesn't say exactly what her family situation was, so the assumption was that there were children there, meaning it's relevant to the halacha that we discussed yesterday. The Amar Shmuel told us yesterday, he's not really giving them a ton, right? That was the Hilchos Taima, that was the different nevuah that the Rishpam told us about. The Hachakamer, the Kanya. And right over here, it clearly says that it's considered a gift. So that's going to be the kasha. There's a lot more going on over here, but what you do see from here, as a minimum, is that when he gave her the gift, we consider it an actual gift. He's not just making her the power of attorney. And then the husband had borrowed money before he gifted this property to his wife. The shtar came after the ksuba. So after he married his wife, that's when he borrowed the money. So therefore, her shibud ksuba precedes the malva, but her gift is after the malva. So tikra matanosa v'tamid al ksubasa, the liyafis koicha nichteva matanazu. He's not giving her the matana. He's not giving her the property to make it worse for her. He's giving it to her to make it better for her. Liskois b'moiser nechasam. So she could get everything. She get all the property. Aval he lemachla shibud ksubasa shal nechasam alalu b'shvil matanazu. Just because she accepted this matana, we won't say that she's automatically willing to give up any shibud that she has on this property. When she gets it b'taris matana, she's adding that on to what she has. If for some reason this matana will be nisbata, for instance, because a balchoiv will come and take it away, b'shul balchoiv hakoyim, she could pull out a better card and tachzer aleim mikoyach shivut ksubasa. They might get the property away from her right now, but should her husband die or should her husband divorce her and the ksubit becomes payable, she can turn around and get it back. She's more than willing to relinquish the matana so that her ksuba will still remain enforced. Now, she doesn't really have to make that choice. She has both. She has the benefit of both. On the other hand, the Chachamim argued and said, Tikra Ksubas. So Lav Dafka, it doesn't literally mean that we tear up a Ksuba, because the Shibud of her Ksuba still exists on every other property that her husband has. It just means, Lagabi this, we'll say, she's not willingly giving up her Ksuba. No one's arguing that. No gift that a husband will buy his wife will tell her to willingly give up any shibut she has towards collecting her ksuba. The Kana Nechasim Acharakin, what if after this whole thing occurs, after he gave her all the Nechasim, he bought more Nechasim, he bought other things, and then the Nechasim that he gifted to her were taken away by a Malva, the new Nechasim are still have the shibut ksuba. So the Kana Nechasim Acharakin Tigve Mehen Ksubas, from those new assets, she can surely collect her ksuba. The Rashbam is going to repeat this about 5 times today. When he writes the ksuba to her, and he's being Meshabbat himself, he says, the kanoi, any assets that I currently have are Meshabbat to your ksuba. Uda asid anolamikni. Any assets that I buy in the future, they will also be covered by the shibud. All our Chachamim mean to say, when they say Tikra Ksubasa, is Aval Mayhanu Nechasim, the Yoyev law, these Nechasim that he gave her in this particular gift, on those Nechasim only, Machla Shibud Ksubasa, which means the Minayu Lo Sigli Ksubasa. She will no longer be able to collect from these Nechasim if they are seized by a Balchoy. Since she received it with a Matnas Chinam, we say that she gave up her shibud ksuba. The Eidinoi Senes Aliba Shema Yove Balchoy the Yitrefim Bechoyvay. When she's accepting the gift, she's not so calculated. Well, I have to be careful not to relinquish my rights to the ksuba, because what if a Balchoy takes it away? She just accepts the gift and gives up any other claim that she has to this property. Hilchach figuratively Tikra Ksubasa Lagabe Hanan Nechasim Shaloi Titrep Mehem. The Samara Matnosa, the only right she will now have to this property is the fact that it was given to her. It was given to her by her husband as a gift. Im Efshal this guy, if she's able to hold on to it. In other words, if a Balchayiv doesn't come and take it away. Since the Matana won't last because the Balchayiv came to take it away, Nimtis Karachas Mikan and Mikan, she's bald from both sides. She's left revealed, uncovered, exposed on both sides, and she doesn't collect. Umil, Mechila Batos less. Why didn't you take a Mechila Batos? Had I known when I received the gift that the whole gift will disintegrate because a Balchay will take it away, I would have never have been Meichel. Why didn't you say that? Because at that time it was 100% legit matana, like I discussed in Dubi. Technically, the Balchay didn't have an ownership in the property, because had her husband had the money, he could have paid off his chayiv, and the property would never have went to the Malva. We don't say that we look at it like the property always belongs to the Balchayiv. If circumstances happen that the loiva can't pay back, at that point, from then on, we give the Malva that property. Okay, so that is the machlok. Of course, she retains her right and her shibud of ksuba on that property. She's so flattered by the matana, she gives up any other shibud she has into that property. And now that she lost her matana, because the Balchayiv took it away, the nimtus karachas mekanamika. Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda said, Rabbi Yehuda the baker said, Mai said there was a story, the ira hadavar the bas achoisi kala, and I think what this means is it's my sister's daughter who married my son, who is my daughter-in-law. Right? That's what he says. So my niece and my daughter-in-law, my son gifted to my daughter-in-law the piece of property that was Meshubah Turksuba. And then my son owed money, and his Balchayiv came and took it away. Now it's time for her to collect the ksuba. Maybe my son died. Maybe my son divorced her. She came to collect the ksuba, and the question was, can she go back to the Lakulkais, could you go back to the Malva and seize the property because her shibud for the ksuba precedes his shibud for the loan. And this story came to Bezdin. And they said, my daughter-in-law ended up losing out. The property remained by the Baal. So the only reason why this matana doesn't pan out at the end is because the Malva came and took it away. What if there wouldn't have been a shtarchay? Who would have ended up keeping the property? Kanya, she would have kept it and she would have lived happily ever after. Uvamai, exactly what was the case over here? If you're telling me that it was a shchivmara, the son was a shchivmara when he gifted this to his wife, via Amrit Layasal Apatropis. Shmuel just told us on number days that a shchivmara who gifts the entire property to his wife, he's only making her into an apotropos. It's not a gift anyway. The story that we're discussing here on Kuf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph has to be speaking where he gifted to her when he was healthy, where this whole thing doesn't apply. And therefore you have a raya that by a bori, Rabbi Yehuda Mashul didn't say Zalach, a bori who gives his wife everything as a gift, it's a real gift. The only time we say that he only wanted to make her into an apotropos, if he's doing this right before he dies, then you'll say he just wants to give her control so that she would be respected. Zoktamur, you don't have a right. Maybe it was even by a shchivmara. You're going to ask, it shouldn't be a good matana. Zoktamura, don't you remember right at the end of yesterday's Gemara, we learned that not all women, when he gives her a gift, is it just to give her prestige? Some women, it's a real gift. Ravira Mukila B'chulu. Ravira was at the bottom of Amud Beis, who said out of those 5 women, 3 out of 5, it's not a matana. So Ravira Mishved Rav Amar B'chulu Kani, Ba'aldam it's matana Lavar Me Yichyeh Shal Achen, the Yichyeh Shal B'nei Abayis. But by Bas Achen and the Ishta Rusta, the Isha Grusa, it's a real gift. And the woman, the daughter-in-law here, and the woman that's discussed in this brisa, Lamed Aleph, was speaking by one of those women who, regardless, it would never have been to give her prestige. It was a real gift. And Ravina Mukila Bishta Rusa Bishta Grusha, because Ravina was the one who said that only by these 2 women do we say it's a real matana, and he's not giving it to them for prestige. So therefore, this whole Gemara is not relevant to the shiloh we discussed earlier, because we're speaking about women who, regardless, it would really be a matana anyway. Amar Rabbi Yosef Bar Minyomi Amar Rabbi Nachman Halacha Tikra Ksubasa v'Tamad al Matnasa v'Nintas Karachas Mikana Mikana. So we seem to be paskening like the Chachamim of this price. For the Gemara Lememra also Rab Nachman Basra Umdana. For the fact that Rab Nachman is paskening over here that she loses the ksuba, we don't rely on an umdana that the woman surely would not want to give up her rights to the ksuba just because she's receiving this matan. But Tanya, I'm going to show you another place where Rab Nachman himself said you do follow the umdana. Haresh halach b'noi l'Medina Sayam. Someone's son went to Medina Sayam. The Shamash Shemesh b'noi. Rechman only heard that his son's not coming back. Now that he doesn't have any children, what is he going to do with his Yerusha? So you know what he did? The Amad because of Kol Nechasav Lacher. He gifted away all of his assets to someone else because he didn't have children to yarshin him. The Achach Babanoi. And suddenly, to his dismay, his son survived. Because that was the best gift he could have had. But now the question is, the matana that he gave, we know he only gave it because he thought he had no son. Now that his son is alive, surely he would never have given it away. Nevertheless, matanos matana. His matana is a valid matana, even though we have an umdana that he surely didn't give it away. He surely only gave it away because he thought his son wasn't alive, and he surely didn't want to give it away. Should he have known that his son survived? Reb Shimon ben Menashe Omer. Reb Shimon ben Menashe Omer. Ein matanos matan. You know why? She'ilu haya yodea Shabanoi Kayam, surely like Kosfant, he would have never gifted them away. Rab Nachman said, Halacha, Kreb Shimon B'Menashe. So you see clearly, Rab Nachman is the one who says, had I known this would happen, I would have never done it. And that's a valid tanya, and therefore it's not a gift, and therefore it will go to the children of this man. So in our case, the same thing. Had she known that a Balchoy was going to come and take away this gift that she got, she would never have been Meichel L'Shibud. So we seem to have a steer in Rab Nachman. Zok Gemara, Shiny Hasam. In our case, it's different, where it's not such a clear umdana. In fact, that the wife says, had I known that I was going to lose this property, I would have never been Meichel L'Shibud. You know why? Because she's very, very happy getting this recognition right now from her husband that he's signing over all of his assets to her. The Nichala, the Tepikala Kala, the Kesvinu Nahala, Lahanin. It looks good, really good for her. And it's a very big vote of confidence and a big honor for her that her husband in his lifetime is gifting her everything. That says it's not so poshut that she would say, had I known that this would happen, I would have never have given up the ksuba. Because here she's getting a lot more. There, the son is totally oblivious to what's going on, and the father has no reason, no special reason to want to give it away. Let's see what the Rashbam says. Rashbam says, Yedeya hainu umdana avabi v'shaloi pirish, even though it wasn't specifically spoken out. Mashani hachanami basar umdana azor Rab Nachman de Omar tikrik subasa. There's an umdana to argue that she does want to accept it as a gift completely and give up her ksuba. The nicha law bahach matana mishum the table kala. People will be talking about it. The imehemna v'chashuva gabebayla, that she's so trusted and respected by her husband, and that feeling is worth it for her to give up other rights that she has. Mishum hachi kasav law kol mechasav. That's why he gave her everything while he was still alive. Ubahiyana, with that great honor that she had, a vote of confidence. Machla shibud ksubasa, and therefore, she said, "I don't care because I'm so happy that I'm getting this now." I think Dafka by Nisha that she's getting disrespect.
For example, somebody else also had about had a claim on the guy, and he offered him his entire estate as a deal.
To be Moichel the Shibud, you mean?
Would he also be Moichel the Shibud?
I hear it. I know it sounds like it's only because of his wife. Only his wife would believe that, you know. The Bachayv is not impressed. The Bachayv just wants to be paid back. The Bachayv doesn't have it. Okay. Zok to Gemara weiter. Try going to your bank and say, I owe you $500,000 mortgage. I'm going to give you a gift of $100,000 car because I trust you. And I don't think the banks are going to be impressed with that. Zok to Gemara weiter. And also, we look at the Mishnah. Someone wrote over all of his assets to his children. And as he's distributing all of his assets to his children in his lifetime, he also gave his wife a small piece of property. The Allah is of the ksubas. We say that she accepted that as the shibud, and the nechasim that he gave to the children, the shibud of the ksuba evaporates from them. Frank Gemara, how could that be justified? Shum the cost of lokaka kolshu of the ksubasa. Ksuba might be worth $100,000 because he gave her a piece of property worth $5,000. That means she's going to be willing to relinquish her claim on the shibud that are on all the other assets that he gave to the children. That doesn't make sense. On Marav, you're right. There's more to this story. You know how he gave them property? He had her be koinit for them. So she's the one who gave him the handkerchief to do the kinyan chalipin to transfer. So when she's party to the giving, that creates the goodwill by her to be moichel the shibud on those properties. Shmuel Amar, you don't need that she should actually be involved in the actual transaction, but if it's b'mechalik lefanel, the seconds. If he's doing this distribution in front of her, in her presence, she's not protesting, that in and of itself is showing that she's giving up her shibud ksuba on the part that's going to the rest of her children. So there's two things: the fact that she's there and that she's also getting some. That creates that Gemir's das by her that she's willing to give up her sheep. Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina Amar the Omer law toil karka Omer law tli karka zubik subasaya. He had to speak out. So Rabbi Chanina holds she doesn't have to be there and she didn't have to be involved in the transaction, but he told her the piece of property I'm giving you, you're going to get this b'toyras your ksuba. So as the Rishbam says, afilu lahayis sham and v'lechalach b'fnei elasha amar lashon zeh kishakasav lahu karka kolshu. If the way he expressed it when he gave her this gift, he wrote tali karkazu b'ksuba sayach. She didn't say, "Hey, it's not worth a fraction of what the shiva ksuba is." She didn't protest. Vade machli shibuda b'shayin chasav. I'm sorry, she didn't know what. Well, we're assuming that she did know the value. We're assuming she'll know what she's dealing with. So these are three easy ways to get out of paying a ksuba. Umikule ksuba shanukan, turning on to Amar Aleph, on Amar Beis. These are kulas of ksuba because, and this directly speaks to what Rabbi Yichyeh was saying. The shar baalei choivim loy ovdu b'kach. By accepting a little gift, they're not going to give up their shibud. Ad shiyormu beferish onu moichlin hashibud al nechosam alon. But by ksuba ikilu kidikilu gaba namili in ziburis. In general, we're makel in how we force the ksuba to be paid. For instance, Abul Chayv can collect from Beinanis, but a ksuba isha can only collect from ziburis, because there still is that fact that the yoser misha ish roitza lisa. Isha writes to Linase, right? We have this concept of tabu, mate of tandu, and lumes of armalu, so we don't need to give them that much. And I never got clear. There's two tanyas. There's tabu, maze of tandu, lumes of armalu. A woman wants to get married, so we don't have to give her so much for the ksuba. But then there's the other thing that a woman doesn't want to get married if she's not secure in her marriage. That's where there's a ksuba, and those two things balance each other. And I guess we have to rely on the words of the Gemara when to apply each one. So anyway. Tanan we learned Rabbi Yosy Omer in Kibla. Rabbi Yosy argues on all these three people, and he says if she was makabel it upon her, she formally says, "I'm asking to give up my shibud on the rest of the chazim." Even though it wasn't written down of the ksubas, and the Rishbam and Tosfos both tell us that the assumption is that Rabbi Yosy is being made im Kibla law afapi. So he's not arguing in what's required. He's being made. So it must be mechlal the Tanakama Sovar Siva Vikabolavoy. It must be that the three Tanoim on Amar Aleph, who said either that you have to, so not the three Tanoim, the one Tana that's explained by three different people, either Shmuel who said this b'mechalek lefanel, the Sheisekes, or Rav said b'mezakal and al Yoda. Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina who said "Bo'emer lo kli karka," it must have required both. It must have required a ksiva. This must have been written down, and shemachla lahem hashibud b'feiros. And Rabbi Yosy saying, no, you don't need to write anything as long as she was merely moichel b'feiros. So machlad the Tanakama Sover ksiva v'kabala boy. You need both, and Rabbi Yosy is being mekel. So what's the problem? The problem is zok to Rashbam. It's going to be shver b'kosha. It's going to be very schwer on Rav, on Shmuel, and on Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina. The Mukila Mil say Bishoy Sekas. They said it speaking where she didn't say anything. Right? Either she's party to the transaction, or she's standing there and she didn't say anything, or he tells her this is for your ksuba. But nowhere do they mention that she is actively saying that she agrees. So it's very schwer because from Rabbi Yosy's comments, it's mashma that she did the Tanakama she did have to actually articulate that she's being makabel. But it's clearly from Rav, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina that they didn't understand the Tanakama that way. So Zog to Gemara, and if you want to say maybe the whole brayso is only going according to Rabbi Yosy, Vatanya, you can't say that. I know, and they were, and the Tanakh was just saying you need this, plus you need, im kibla. So am Rabbi Yosy emasa. Shahoisa sham the kibla. Avu hoisa sham the loy kibla or kibla loy hoisa sham. You don't have both. Then loy of the ksubas. So you see clearly that Rabbi Yosy is arguing on the Tanakama, and clearly the Tanakama holds that you need both, which is clearly not like Rav, not like Shmuel, and not like Rabbi Yosef Bechanina. Zak Gemara Tiyufta, the Kulu Tiyufta. They're all other shlogan, because based on Rabbi Yossi, we see clearly that the Tanakama couldn't possibly have meant what they said, and that there was no Kabbalah on her part. Amalei Rav al Rav Nachman, Harav or Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef Bechanina. They have all these different sheets that we've just logged up, but he asked his Rebbe Rav Nachman, Mar my sphere. What do you all? Halacha l'maisa. What would it take to get her to be Moichel D'Ksuba, to be Moichel D'Shiva? Omer lei, Shani Omer, I hope, Kivan she'asa shutef, bein abanim, v'balt, she became a shutef amongst the children because he gave her a piece of property together with them. Of the Ksubasa, she loses her Ksuba. Itmar nami, Omer Rabbi Yosef, Bar Minyumi, Omer Rav Nachman, even just the shutef bein abanim of the Ksubasa. Now, the way Rishbam learns is that he's paskening like Rabbi Yosef, that you need one or the other. So he's not paskening Rabbi Yosef that you need a Kabbalah. Rabbi Yosef, he's learning. So in other words, Rabbi Nachman is going to learn in Rabbi Yosef that you need one or the other. And if you have a Kabbalah b'ferish, Rabbi Yosef said b'ferish that will work. If you only wrote one of these things, in that way he'll hold like Shmuel, or Rabbi Nachman will hold like Shmuel, that as long as she was aware and she was there, it would be a Kabbalah. Let's have a look at the Rashbam. Shutef ben Abanim, Shekas of law. He wrote to her, Shekas of Lanami Karka Kolshu, since he also gave her some Karka, when he distributed in the Chosim, she's Moichel. Well, in Matrachinon, L'chol Hanach, Ukimtis, the Amir Hanach Moriloyal. He's not going to paskin like Rav and like Rabbi Yosef Bechanina. Now this nusach in the Rashbam is saying that you don't need anything. Just by writing out that I'm giving you this gift, that creates a mechila without anybody else. Rabbi Yossi, either Kabbalah, if she says I'm the Kabbalah, it's good enough, or if you wrote to her that I'm gifting it to you, that in itself creates the mechila, which is a little bit difficult to understand, because where do you say mechila? So the Rashbam brings a very interesting parish from Rashi. Umatzazi b'tshuvas Rabbeinu Shlomo Zikni Zatzal. You have Nachman Koi b'shita Shmuel Rabbi. Rabbi Nachman is in fact passing like Shmuel, that the ksiva has to be in front of her, which is how Shmuel explained the Rabbanan. So even though he slugged up Lagabe, he's proud of the Rabbanan, because the Rabbanan clearly don't require a Kabbalah, but in Rabbi Yossi, who holds one or the other, is adequate. Shmuel's halach is very relevant. The Ukma b'machalak lefanev yishesekes. The Alvagav the Shvina leil, even though in the Rabbanan the Orga slogan, Hanamili mishum the Tanakama Kabbalah nami boy, because the Tanakama holds you need Kabbalah as well. Mili Rabbi Yossi, the Sabra, the Sagale Bechada, one or the other is enough. Either Ksiva b'lei Kabbalah or Kabbalah b'lei Ksiva. What would the Ksiva be b'lei Kabbalah? There, you could ask the same question. Mishum the cause of Lakaka Kolshu of the Ksubasa, just because he's writing to her that I'm giving you some Kaka, why should she lose her Ksuba because of that? So you still need the Pshatim that Rab, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yossi Bechanina said earlier, the Tzarech L'Shnei Rabbi Yossi, the Machalak L'Fanah Avishay Sekes, which was Shmuel Shita, and Rav Nachman will hold like Shmuel. So basically, the way Rav Nachman is going to learn that according to Rabbi Yossi, if she specifically says, I'm Moichel the Ksuba, because you gave me what you gave me, clearly that works, and she no longer has a claim of Ksuba on those assets. However, if he only wrote to her and it was in front of her and she didn't protest, that also would be enough. And that would be Rav Nachman learning like Rabbi Yossi, aligning himself with Shmuel. Dr. Gemara Vayter, Itmar Nami, Amar Rabbi Yosef Bar Minyumi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, even just should have been abundant of the Ksubas. Boy Rava, Bibari Pech. What about by a bari? So if this all occurred by a bari, meaning bari shekasav nechasav l'mama, instead of distribution happening while the father was very weak and he was going to die, it was in his prime. The father decided to distribute his assets, the chasav l'ishtei karka kolshu, And the also shuta ben abalim, do we say mi of the subasa eloi? So what would the halacha be if this case that we discussed happened by a boy? Mi amrina, back into the Gemara. V'shchiv who the yoda, the Leslie, by a shchiv where he's not going to be buying any more assets. She knows all the assets that he has, and she knows that she's only getting this little piece of property. There, the kamachla. There, she's obviously being moichel because she doesn't think her husband's ever going to come on to more assets. He's right at the end of his life. Aval bebori. But if we're talking about a bori, savra hadakani, she's assuming that he's going to buy more assets. If he's going to buy more assets, I'm not giving up my right for a shibud. So the same way I'm not giving up my right for a shibud for any assets that he might buy in the future, I'm not giving up my shibud at all. Or right now, she's assuming there's nothing else left, and therefore she's giving up her shibud on anything. Zok Gemara, take it. Let's have a look at the response. The bori heich, miyad ksubas eloi, mi amina b'shchiv merachud of the shibud ksubas. Tal nechasam alolu. You know why? The yoda the leslie nechasam yosher. She knows that this is all he has. The gamaloi yiuloi oid charayamas. He's about to die. He's not about to buy another piece of property. So therefore, v'hilchach havelol arba matanazu. If there's the time to complain, now's the time to complain because she's going to be losing her koyach hashibud on all of the assets. The chivin the shaska vada nisrasis become. There, her shtika clearly shows that she's moichel. Because if there was any time to scream, now would be that time. Aval baburi, but if this whole thing occurred when her husband was young and healthy, and who knows what else he would end up buying in his lifetime, you know why she's not protesting? Not because she's moichel, because Savra, I'm not giving up my shibud. There's so many other assets that I could collect from. And therefore, I'm not giving up my shibud, and I don't have to protest because it doesn't hurt right now. And therefore, I'm not moichel anything. And therefore, she'll say, Umali lachisai. Why should I fight with him now? He wants to give these gifts away. I'm not going to protest. I want my shibud because my shtika now doesn't show anyway that I'm giving anything up. So Umali lachisai akshav ache'era im Yichyeh dechasu. Let me wait and see what happens. I can always protest later. Since she's only being silent because she doesn't feel threatened, that's not a mechila. And then even from those nechasim that he's giving to the children now, she still retains her shibud ksuba for them. The titter from hand hayoim alamacher, and she will be able to seize those properties in the event that her ksuba becomes payable. So let's take it. Someone said as follows: Palga lebras, upalga lebras, the tilsa leitas the peri. Half of my properties I wanted to go to one daughter, and half of my properties I wanted to go to the other daughter. But that's to own the gufa karka. As far as the pairs are concerned, the pairs that grow from these properties, I want them split 3 ways, and my wife will get a third. Now the question is she moichel l'kshu? Ikler Rab Nachman l'sura, oy legaber Rab Chisda. Amalei kihai gav namai. What will be the halacha in this case? Amalei hachi amar Shmuel afidu lo hikna law elo dekel echad l'peiroisa. Even if he only gave her 1 dekel l'peiroisa of the ksubasa, she lost the ksuba. So here as well, he gave her pairs, 1/3 of the pairs, she lost the ksuba. Now it doesn't mean she lost the ksuba. The Rashbam keeps on pointing out. It means she lost the schus to collect from these properties. But any other properties or any other assets are meshubater. So Amar Lei, he said back, you don't have a raya from Shmuel. Amar Damar Shmuel, Hosam, the Akila Begufa the Ara. There he gave her dekel lipeiresa. She got a kinyan in the dekel for the pairs. Hacha peira. Over here, he only gave her pairs. Amar Loi, metaltli karmit. You didn't tell me to metaltlin. In other words, you didn't tell me that he's only giving her pairs and not giving her any chelik at a karka. Metaltli vadi loy kamina. If he just gave her pairs, that means they're pairs that are already fully grown on the property, ready to be harvested, but he didn't give her a schos in the property to get future pairs. That, of course, that's metaltlin. That, the fact that she got that, definitely does not tell us that she was moichel l'kshu. Huda Amrlu, there's a fellow who said, Tlasa lebras, utlasa leitos. What happened was he said, I'm going to split my property up into 3 parts. Two of my daughters are going to get 2/3, and the final third will go to my wife. Shiva chade mibante. And now one of the girls died. So let's see what happened here. So Dr. Gemara, Dr. Rashbam, that I knew also should have been a bali. She became a shutaf with her 2 daughters because the 2 daughters got a third each and she got a third. Uminadin of the ksubasa mehani treitils. We already said that once she's getting an equal part of the chelik, she's given up her rights to collect from the shibud ksuba on the 2/3 of the property that her daughters got. That we know. And therefore, now she can't collect anything. You know what? Because her part also, she can't collect from, she has it already. The only way she can find more assets to collect from is unless her husband has more assets, she has nothing to collect her ksuba from. Any future nechasim that her husband will buy, the shiva ksuba will chal on it. And what happened was, this Rami Milsa, the loikan nechasim acher. What happened was, her husband never bought any more assets. What he did was, he went back and since one of his daughters died, he yarshened his daughter's third. So one of the thirds that he gave away, he now got back because his daughter died. The meha tilsa, the chazer v'kana less lamiti. So Papa wanted to say that even though it's new land that he acquired, this is really the same land that he gave away, and on that land she will never be able to collect her shibud ksuba from. It's not some new property. She was already Michael or Shibud on this piece of property. Who cares that the father reacquired it through Yerusha? But on this specific property, the wife had already given up her rights. So let's see what happens. So one of the daughters died, and now the father reclaims that chelik. So for a popular member, she only gets a third. If he would have bought it back from her, wouldn't his wife be able to take? Since if he would have purchased it back, we would say it's like a new property, and it would be Meshubah Tksuba. So too now that he arshened it, we'll say it's still Meshubah Tksuba. Okay, we'll stop here. If we would have finished earlier, I would have come on time. Tomorrow we have to be on time.